Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Friday. Today's Friday on the PTP podcast. Crazy Chuck with a capital K. What's going on? Trash Man Green. How you doing? Let's see. Slanty Chauffeur Bear. Welcome. Redneck Shark. Love that shark. That's pretty cool. Warrior in the Garden, thank you for the shades.
You see, I take these glasses off. She looks like a regular person, doesn't she, huh? Put them back on. Formaldehyde face.
Welcome. Trick Pony. What's going on? How you doing? And of course, Beach Bum and Mermaid. Thank you for the phone. Everything will go well for you today because you're loved. Just want to make sure that you know that. Thank you so much for being here and for making me my demon sticker. Thank you so much. My little emotional support demon sticker up there. Thank you. Cherokee George, good afternoon. Jekyll and Hyde, how are you? Welcome. I like Jekyll and Hyde. He just calls me P. I like that. Good afternoon, P. I love it. Let's see. Look at that. Cherokee George just hand writes everything out. I like that. Yo, Brain on Slugs. Good to see you too. Yeah, long time. I'm still kicking. Sometimes I'm kicking sideways, my legs being swept. Sometimes I can't get out of bed, but I'm still kicking. Par 5, how you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, so today's Mystery 20. How are you? And everybody over on the X, D Live, and YouTube, welcome to you. Yeah, so today is Friday. I'm pretty damn sure today's Friday. Yeah, today's Friday. We made it through another week of massive bullshittery. It's getting real interesting, and I'm really having a good time here. Who that? Maddie's mom, Red Fish, rocking my Crusaders. Love it. So the week is getting much. This week has got very interesting. All of the. Hey, zombie. All of the talk about debates and stuff like that, because we're going to be talking about that. About Kamala Harris debating Donald Trump. Which, if I was Donald Trump, oh, thank you, Par 5. This shirt is from Beach Bum and Mermaid. Yeah, what's one of my favorite shirts. It's so comfortable and it's a good color, matches my hat. I like it. Thank you for the cookie. Hey, Band Mom. Yeah, so if I was Trump, I would say, I'm sorry, I'm not debating Carmella until somebody makes her the official nominee. That's what I would do, because I mean, look, he debated Biden, and then they threw Biden out. So what happens if the convention comes along and they decide to put Big Mike in, and he's already debated Carmella? I would have just waited, but we'll talk about that later. What's up, Quiltanon? How you doing? So this first clip, I'm going to show this first clip, and it's specifically for one person. because I want this person to understand inclusivity. They're on my show often, so this right here, if he's watching or if he sees this afterwards, this is nothing, no offense or whatever, but just a little friendly reminder for you, Mr. Salty Nuts. Okay?
You scroll.
Hi friends! Today we're talking about something super cool called pronouns. Pronouns are little words that help us talk about each other. We all have pronouns. Some people use he and him, like this bear. He's so cuddly. Some people use she and her, like this cat. She's so playful. Some people use they and them, like this frog. They like to hop. Can you say he's so cuddly? Good. Can you say she's so playful? Good. Can you say they like to hop? Good job.
Good
and
job.
It's important to ask people what their pronouns are because you can't always tell by what they look like. Here's how you do it. Hi, my name is Lily. My pronouns are she and her. What about you? Then the other person can tell you their name and pronouns. Using the right pronouns makes everyone feel happy and included. It shows that you care about them. Plus, it's an easy way to be a good friend.
Okay, guys, honestly, I am really curious. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know, please.
So, sometimes Mr. Salty Nuts can be a little brash. So I was hoping that, maybe that would give him a little more polishing around the edges to know people's pronouns. Hey, Josie, how are you? So yeah, if that helps, frogs and bears and stuff like that. Isn't that amazing, Warrior? It's amazing. But we love us some pronouns. Everybody has to have a pronoun. My personal pronouns are fucking off, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, what's up, Ranger? And I'm glad you're doing better. Your brain on slugs. Glad you recovered. The professor. That's a good sticker right there. Par 5. Okay. Qual for life. Welcome. Thank you for the cookie. Yep. Anyway. So let's do this. Let's watch this last clip before we get into the news. And this is something that we were saying on Tuesday night when we had the panel show, and I think we said it last night when we had the panel show. I'm not too sure, but let's listen to this guy.
Reminder to everybody saying they're going to vote for Kamala Harris because she said when she becomes president, she's going to do X. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that she's currently the VP. She's currently in power. When she says when she's president that she's going to reduce the cost of things, when she's president, she's going to make things more affordable, that when she's president, she's going to completely revamp our immigration system, that when she's president, she's going to secure our relations worldwide, or that when she's president, she's going to make sure that women have access to abortion in every state in the union. Yeah, she's VP right now. She is currently the vice president of the United States. Her boss will do anything she tells him to do. So maybe ask her why she's not making things more affordable now. Why she's not able to reduce the cost of things now. Why she's not able to control inflation now. Why she's not able to make housing affordable now. Why she's not able to make gas affordable now. Why she's not able to secure our border and fix immigration now. Why she's not able to improve our international relations now. Or why she can't give everyone access to abortion now. Why does she need to be elected president to do it? Why didn't she do it in any of the last 3.5 years? Or any of the time she was a senator? Why does she need yet another election to get any of those things done? I mean, don't get me wrong, y'all won't ask any of those questions, but they are good ones to ask.
I ask them. I ask those questions. I asked every single one of those questions. I think that's a great way to start off the show because if you listen to her teleprompted speeches, all she's going to do is everything that she can do right this minute that she could have been doing for the last 3.5 years. But now, all of a sudden, she has to be elected president to get any of that stuff done. If you're a Democrat and you're on Kamala's side, right? I'm voting for Kamala. You're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but it sounds good. But you're an idiot. You should be asking the same questions that I'm asking, that probably everybody in the chats are asking, that dude is asking. Why can't you do that right this minute? You see, because of your stupidity and not asking those questions, that's the problem here. That's how a country stays ununified with how do you say, blind stupidity. There, it is what it is. What's up, Eric Chenault? I saw your pronouns worn the fuck out. I can relate. I can relate. I'm still doing the inside the matrix and outside the matrix. It's gonna take me a while because everybody knows I'm a realist. I call it as I see it. I use logic and critical thinking. I have to readjust a couple of my brain cells, at least two, to start figuring this stupidity out. So that's Ranger. That's exactly right. We should all stop pretending that nobody liked this broad. Just 2 months ago. Yeah, that's right. That is absolutely right. This is the same woman who couldn't garner enough support to get past Iowa in the primaries in 2020. This is the same person who couldn't secure the primary in her home state of California. All of a sudden, she's the savior of democracy. Isn't that great? Just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. All right, let's get to the news clips here, because we're going to talk more about this, of course. If I missed anybody in the chats, welcome to you. Thank you for being here. Please hit the red pill. If you're on YouTube, DLive, or X, make it over to the Pilled. Make an account, because apparently YouTube just shuts me off whenever the hell they feel like it. I had a 24-hour thing last time. I'm back now, but who knows? And if you're on Pilled, hit the red pill, throw the gold pills out. I can use them. I'd appreciate it. And let's get cracking.
Is the Trump 2024 National Press Secretary and joins us live. Caroline, great to see you. So now that one debate is on the calendar, what does President Trump hope to accomplish when confronting VP Harris on the public stage?
Well, I don't know, maybe having her actually answer questions about her record, which she has refused to do now for 19 days in a row. Since becoming the Democrat Party's darling nominee, Kamala Harris has not taken any real questions from the press, has not held a press conference, and finally committed to this debate after President Trump did more than an hour-long press conference yesterday.
But from what I heard yesterday, she refused to do the Fox News debate. She agreed to it, and then her campaign backed out of it. So the one that they're talking about now is the ABC debate. But she's not going to debate on Fox News. That's what I heard. Don't know.
Yesterday, taking questions on an array of issues. So on that debate stage, President Trump, our team very much look forward to watching Kamala Harris try to defend her disastrous record. We know she's already trying to run away from it, flip-flop on issues such as banning fracking. She's been in support of that. Now she's trying to walk away from it, and many of the other disastrous liberal policies that she has supported throughout her career.
In that 70-second address to a gaggle or team of reporters, she did say she was all in on the ABC News debate, as she's touted before, and appears to be leaving the door open for more. Here's that clip.
But President Trump had a press conference today. He talked about a lot of things. Wonder if you have a reaction to what he talked about.
Well, I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it, and hope he shows up.
Are you open to more debate?
I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th, for sure.
She'll have the conversation after the debate. How do you take that? How does Trump take that?
I think she wants to see how well she can perform and then maybe make a decision. That's unacceptable. She needs to commit to all 3 debates. The American people deserve it. Let's remember, she has not.
What happens, just out of curiosity, if Kamala Harris goes on to ABC without her teleprompters and she does the same thing that Joe Biden does, or Joe Biden did in the first debate with Donald Trump, and she tanks it? Does that mean that Nancy Pelosi is going to get onto her broom and go to the White House and kick her ass out too? Get another nominee? I wonder.
Received 1 vote to become the Democrat nominee. She was installed in this position because President Trump delivered the ultimate knockout to Joe Biden on the debate stage, and therefore she's now become the presumptive nominee appointed by donors and elitists in the party. So she needs to answer questions. She needs to debate. She's
been appointed by nobody. Nobody has cast a vote for her. 0 people. You were told as a Democrat, and this is what I was saying in the beginning of the show. You were told as a Democrat, your pick of Joe Biden is not what you get to pick. We get to choose who you vote for. And we're going to put this person in, and you're going to support them whether you like it or not.
Dumbass.
That makes you a fucking idiot. That makes you an idiot. If you're voting for Kamala Harris, somebody who you're told to vote for without having a choice,
Asswipe.
you're an asswipe.
needs to, again, stand up there and attempt to defend her dangerously liberal record. President Trump has committed to 3 debates. Kamala Harris needs to do the same. And yesterday, she also said that she's going to have her team schedule an interview by the end of the month. It is August 9th. That's 3 weeks away. What is she waiting for? I think it's because her advisors know that she's incapable of going off script. They are worried about that. She's not given a speech or, again, a press conference without a teleprompter nearby, but she needs to do it if she wants to be the next president of the United States.
Well, especially now that there are new questions surfacing around her running mate's military record. She was asked about it briefly on the campaign trail yesterday when she spoke to that gaggle. Here's that moment.
This has been about your vice presidential pick and his leaving the National Guard at 24 years. Vance said that he deserted his own troops or his own colleagues. What's your take on that?
Listen, I praise anyone who has presented themselves to serve our country, and I think that we all should.
Caroline, does President Trump plan to focus in on that and present these questions on the debate stage?
Well, we certainly have already. Senator Vance has called out Tim Walz for his stolen valor because it's egregious and disrespectful to the thousands of veterans in this country who did actually serve in combat. There's more than enough evidence now to prove that Tim Walz did knowingly lie about his military service, about his title and his rank, about the fact that he said in numerous times before that he carried weapons of war in war, that he deployed to Afghanistan. Neither of those statements are true. He deployed to Europe. He served some time in Italy, but he did not serve in an active combat zone. And that's very disrespectful to those veterans that did put their lives on the line and answer the call to defend this country. And so he needs to also answer for that.
And the sad thing is that the mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, Bloomberg News, Politico, the list goes on and on. They keep saying that this is not true. This is not true. He did this. He didn't do this. His service was this and blah, 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 blah. But there are hundreds of people, dozens, I should say, not hundreds, that are coming out from his own state that went to Iraq and said, now that dude bailed out 2 days before he was supposed to go. He retired. He didn't go. He abandoned us. So they're telling the actual veterans who were in the combat zone where he was supposed to be, they're calling them liars. Good job.
And apologize to the veterans and service members who feel disrespected by his stolen valor, including many of those who were in his battalion in the Army National Guard that have now spoken out and said that while we answered the call and deployed to Iraq, Tim Walz left us behind. And that's not the type of leader that the American people need.
Yeah, so this is going to be... Now, J.D. Vance was a Marine. He enlisted in the Marines, I think in 4 years. From what they said, he was a combat correspondent, or not a combat correspondent. He had to do something with the media or whatever. He deployed to Iraq, but never saw combat. Okay. But I don't hear J.D. Vance going around saying that he was in combat, that he was using weapons of war when he was in combat. I don't hear him saying that. Or at least if he did say it, I missed it. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But this Walz guy is going around saying this, and he's pissing a lot of veterans off. And the media is trying to make it sound like it's nothing. It's nothing. And it's not just nothing. So, anyway, hold on a second. Oops, not that one. And as far as Kamala goes with the debates, I'll reiterate exactly what I said. If I was Trump, I would say, you know what? Not until after the convention that she gets a slate of electors to make sure she's the nominee. Period. I won't debate her. I won't talk to her. I won't do anything. But I'm not in politics. What's up, Mo Phillips? Exactly, Qual for Life. I can't remember him, JD, saying anything like that. Was he a Marine? Yes. Did he serve in Iraq? Yes. Did he serve in combat? As far as I know, no. And he didn't say he did. He was some kind of media correspondent or some bullshit like that. I don't know. Hey, Foxy lady. How you doing? So, I believe that this is something that you can't walk this back as a political candidate, especially when you are. Oh, thank you for the cookie, Foxy lady. Especially when you're running to be the first in line for president of the United States, How do you rectify that if something happens to Kamala Harris, God forbid something happens, and you have to become president and the commander-in-chief of the military? How many of your soldiers are going to be willing to follow your orders and fight for you and their country when you didn't do it, when you backed out of it? I think that's something they didn't think about. They didn't think about it. But these are things that, like you said, some of the stuff inside the Matrix is completely different. And some of the stuff that I think about is completely different. Is my camera blurry? Hold on. Yeah, Eric, you're not doing well with the lurking. You're right. So is my camera blurry, or is it my eyeballs? Let me try it again. Looks like my camera's blurry. That better? Okay. Yeah, so I don't believe that the stories that are coming out about not only Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, are going to damage them. I believe a straight up debate is going to damage both of them, Kamala and Tim. A little blurry, okay. Should be better now, I think. Better? Thank you. Thank you. $2020, here you go. Yeah. All right. Let's get on to the next one.
An hour-long press conference yesterday, at least, while Vice President Harris took questions from reporters for 60 seconds after dodging the press for 18 days.
Aisha Hasney was at that press conference. She had the opportunity to ask the former president some questions, and she's live at Palm Beach right now. Hey, Aisha.
I should have asked him if he plays the clarinet. I think the race would be over if we could just figure out if one of them plays the clarinet. It's over. Yeah, so look, Trump in this press conference, guys, was trying to prove that he is the most transparent candidate, that he is the most accessible candidate, trying to paint the split screen with him and Kamala Harris, and really trying to put this pressure campaign on her to face the cameras because he believes that that is her number one weakness. I think a campaign official yesterday told me that Biden's weakness was walking, hers is talking. So that is the strategy here, trying to get her to face the cameras. He also yesterday addressed reporting that he's been frustrated with his campaign as new polling shows that Harris has taken a small lead. But the Trump team is calling that a honeymoon period that will go away as soon as she opens her mouth.
She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
So the pressure campaign, it seems to be working. Harris has now agreed to the first presidential debate moderated by ABC on September 10th. And she finally spoke to reporters, us, on the tarmac in Michigan shortly after Trump's press conference.
Glad that he's finally agreed to a debate. I'm looking forward to it and hope he shows up.
Are you open to more debate?
I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th.
When you're going to sit down for your first interview since being the nominee? Do you have any update on
I've talked to my team. I want us to get an interview scheduled before the end of the month.
Okay, so we'll wait to see if that actually happens because Politico is reporting that according to two...
I want to get an interview before the end of the month. This was yesterday. Right? That's what they said in the Newsmax clip. What's the end of the month? She's the vice president of the United States. All she has to do is tell her assistant, schedule me an interview tonight on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News. Whatever, we do it today. What do you mean the end of the month? That's like a whole month from now. But wait, let's keep listening, because in the end, I think in this is the clip. Yeah, I think it's this clip. They say something very interesting that I want to opine on. So let's just keep listening.
People familiar with the campaign's thinking. This is the Harris campaign's thinking. There are ongoing discussions right now about doing a joint interview with Harris and Walz, her running mate, prior to the convention, which of course begins in about a week in Chicago. But other staffers have also told that news organization that they may actually want to stall until after Labor Day weekend, because they don't really feel that it's very necessary to do a national interview when she can just get on the ground and engage with voters directly in these swing states. Guys?
Is there any frustration amongst the press?
And hold on a second. There's also been, and I don't know if anybody else has read this or not, in a couple of little websites that I read, that the Chicago Police Department has been denying protest permits for people filing permits so they can have a gathering outside the DNC, that they've been denying permits. I just saw that on a couple of small websites that I look at. You know, I go behind my little paywall there and read some of that shit. Number one. Number two, how far are they going to put this off? Right? How far? It may be not now, not the end of the month, maybe after the convention, maybe Labor Day. How are they going to keep putting it off? Right? Judy the Lady Pug, welcome, welcome. Thank you for the cookie. Because to me, it sounds like the exact playbook from 2020 from Joe Biden.
I mean, they were aggressive against Joe Biden after the debate, and you saw a lot of reporting there talking about his stability, what's going on behind the scenes. But it looks like they pulled back a little bit. So I'm just curious, what are you hearing?
There's always frustration, Lawrence, when we can't get answers or can't even ask a question. But I think that's why you noticed that pool reporter on the tarmac there, that was, I think, the second or third question right after getting to the debate. The immediate question after wasn't about policy, wasn't about the economy, wasn't about Trump. It was, when are you going to talk to us? When are you going to have this first interview? And that tells you everything.
Yeah, Aisha, thanks. And by the way, that's an insult to the American people, because the media is asking the questions ostensibly that the people out there, the voters out there, want asked.
Correct.
So when you blow off the press, you might say, oh, I blew off Fox or CNN or MSNBC. What you're doing is you're telling the American people, you don't need to know. Right. We'll handle it. You don't need to know. And that's...
And once again, that's exactly the point that we brought up at the beginning of the show, showing that clip of that guy. Because they're going to ask these questions. They're going to ask those questions. You're vice president. You were in charge of the border. Why didn't you do something? Why haven't you codified Roe versus Wade? Why did you pick a VP that says you can have an abortion up until birth and wrote it into law? On and on and on and on. These are the questions that if I was a reporter, I would be asking a million times. Who just raided me? Somebody just raided me. Rabbit hole. Who was that? America Media is rising. Thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate you guys over there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to all you guys. What's up, Scott? How you doing? Satire for Tards. I love that name. Free all to learn. Welcome. Ash, USA. Patriot Mom. How are you doing? Long time no see. Nuclear Family. Brave. What's that? Brave 198. Okay, Vanessa, how you doing, Vanessa? All right, welcome to all you guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you hanging out. TikToks has rated my channel also. What's up, TikToks? Good to see you, brother. But how do you, as the vice president, right? As the vice president, the current vice president, not a former, but the current vice president, answer those questions? Why didn't you do it for the 4 years that you were vice president? And I think this is going to be an issue, because if you get any reporter that's straight up, that's the questions they're going to ask. There's no two ways around it. Oops. Sorry about that.
Biden right now on the beach in Rehoboth, while we have tenuous people. The Middle East is a tenuous.
Remington report.
And we have a lot of explanations on what the Fed's going to be doing and what's happening with the economy.
Well,
they feel like they don't have to talk to the American people.
They've made a calculation.
I'll take the worst Patriot
of
Mom.
her messing up in this final hour. Remember, nobody gets a chance to become president with no primary and only 90 days. You know, they're like trying to run out the clock. So the risk to them is too.
That's what I wanted you to hear. That's what I wanted you to hear. Nobody should vote for somebody who wasn't nominated for president within 90 days of an election. It seems like they're trying to run out the clock. That's exactly what it's going to be. If she doesn't do an interview until the end of the month, what month is this? August? So her first interview may be September. Maybe the interview will be after the debate, September 10th, 11th, or 12th, depending on how she does. Oh, you know what? We have too many rallies right now. Maybe mid-October. That's what it seems like. They want to run out the clock. And what is that to the American people? That means that you're ducking. You're ducking people's questions. You're ducking answering things that the American people want to know. Those independent voters who may not be as stupid as most of the Democrat people on TikTok, who just accept whatever is thrown down their throat. All right, Eric, we'll see you later on. Be careful.
High, but the risk to the voters of putting somebody as the CEO of this country without having asked them any policy question. Remember, on this thing, she's saying, why won't you? What do you think of Trump? What do you think of your policies?
I'll tell you exactly what she's saying. The same thing over and over again. Listen to this.
It really is good to be back in Wisconsin. It is so good to be back in Michigan. Listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds and had a summer job at McDonald's. I had a summer job at McDonald's. So hear me when I say, so hear me, Detroit, when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type. And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it?
Now, that side-by-side comparison, making the exact same speech, two different locations, verbatim. If Donald Trump did that, where they can compare his speeches. Now, don't get me wrong. Trump does his rhetoric off the cuff. And it's all the same. But it's never verbatim. The dude can't keep a teleprompter. He's always talking off the cuff. If Donald Trump did something like this, it would be a never-ending loop on CNN or MSNBC.
And when we fight, we win.
is
It's the
unbelievable.
AI
Same
camera. It's an AI
What a
campaign.
robot.
Yeah.
What a robot.
There is no ad-libbing. She
you're-
is just keeping to the
You're
script.
telling me that I may have disagreed with President Barack Obama, but the dude could speak. He could go out there and rally a crowd together. And they're comparing her to former president.
That's also bullshit what this guy says about Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a spectator at a tennis match. I've said that since 2008. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. When you're making a speech, your teleprompters are here and here, right? Here are your teleprompters. You watch any speech from Barack Obama, he goes from the left to the right, to the left, to the center, to the right, to the left, to the right, because he can't get off the teleprompter. Ever listen to Barack Obama make an off-the-cuff speech? He stutters worse than Joe Biden. So that shit that guy was saying is a crock of shit. Barack Obama is not a good public speaker at all. And you can go look back at speeches and watch his head looking like he's looking at a tennis match, back and forth. Let's get back to this.
No one is buying this. Another thing that they're doing is, okay, she's not talking to the public. She's doing these canned speeches over and over. That means her first big moment is going to be giving an acceptance speech at the DNC. If she doesn't crush it, it's over for her. It's over.
She'll crush it. She can do a speech.
Big moment.
Oh,
If
she'll
she
do a speech.
doesn't really punch it. I mean, she can't deliver that speech at the DNC.
No,
it has to be something
No, she's
different.
going to deliver it, but she's going to have a teleprompter. Remember, Lawrence, this is the TTV campaign. Teleprompter, TikTok, and The View. That is all they're going to do.
That's
She's going to
right.
deliver a teleprompter speech. It will be good. It'll be written by other people. She'll be fine. The question is, can she speak extemporaneously?
Right.
What's up,
Can she
Daniel?
sit down with
Come
you
on.
haven't been to the border? Can she do the follow-up question and just said the 12 things that she used to believe that she doesn't believe? Why don't you believe it?
Sure, because when she sat down with Lester Holt last year, that was a disaster.
It was
And I'm
a
sure the
disaster.
people in the campaign are thinking, you know, the risk, it's all about risk and reward. The reward is
Hi,
great
Ohio,
if she
Kimmy.
goes out and does a good job. The risk is she becomes Katie Couric interviews Sarah Palin, and that was a disaster. That just pretty much, Sarah Palin was doing pretty well until that.
So for Kamala, or Kumala, as Daniel said, to sit down and do an interview with anybody, unscripted, is probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen because of the Leslie Stahl, Lester Holtz interviews when she was supposed to be taking care of the border. And nothing happened. And every question that she was asked, she talked about the wheels on the bus and electric cars and this, that, and the other thing. They're going to run out the clock. They're going to run out the clock. I thought that was one of the smartest things that this broad said in here. Run out the clock.
Interview, and then it was just right in the gutter.
And the debate, well, we know one debate the president will have a shot to unmask or find out where the depth is.
Well, we know what happened during her last debate, and it didn't go so well.
A couple of them did, though. Early on, she did okay with 7 people on the stage.
Well, when she
then
took him
Tulsi
out,
Gabbard.
when it came to, exactly, then Tulsi took her out.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
So that's the record that she's going to have to contend with. Tulsi Gabbard in 2020 took Kamala out. Does she think that the record that Tulsi brought up 4 years ago is not going to come back? Right? Does she think that anything that she's done as vice president is not going to come up? Everything's looking to the future. The future of what? Everything that you say you want to do in the future, you could have done in the past. Not only as VP, you could have done it as senator. You could have made more of an effort as a senator. But you didn't. Your record as a DA in California, or as Attorney General and a district attorney, speaks for itself. There's no denying that. And now you bring on a guy who wants to put tampons in boys' bathrooms, unvetted abortion, doesn't matter, for whatever. Baby's 7 years old, you can't afford to take care of it, abort it. I'll sign a law. Stolen valor. He's got that one dude we showed in the queer caucus, or whatever the fuck he said. The queer caucus. The guy who sounds worse than me, dressed up in women's clothes. This is our future. This is our future. Okay? Somebody needs to start answering fucking questions.
These things.
Next clip.
Donald Trump was talking about John Heilman.
Yeah.
And I think Peggy Noonan's column in the Wall Street Journal.
So now we're going to watch MSNBC on how they're going to twist Kamala not doing anything to go into these pre-scripted teleprompter rallies with this ginned up base that not one single person voted for her. And listen to what they put on Donald Trump. It's very interesting on how they're trying to spin it. It doesn't work because this is completely Matrix shit right here. It doesn't work, but it's real interesting to listen to.
Journal hits it on exactly where Donald Trump and Kamala Harris find themselves in this very topsy-turvy political season. First of all, Peggy writes, I continue to believe the woman isn't creating a movement, but a movement is creating her, and they are showing up. And man, are they showing up. Mr. Trump spent most of the week having what a GOP strategist told Politico is a public nervous breakdown. It's Donald Trump. And then finally, another.
Oh, by the way, I've seen like 6 or 7 different ads for Trump on YouTube. And I also saw one on TikTok. I don't know if it's from, I didn't even see if it was from his TikTok account or somebody else. But I think that's what he's been doing this week, is cutting promo ads for his campaign, because they're all over YouTube.
A telling quote from Peggy, and this is fascinating. For the first time this week, I thought people were wondering about the impact of Mr. Trump's age. He is 78. He hasn't been able to focus, make his case. Is he, and another irony of 2024, turning into Joe Biden? And the split screens have not been good for him at all this week, John. And you look at the polls, and you can read these polls that are coming in, and it is only August, but there certainly is momentum. But there's also, again, something that we haven't seen from Donald Trump since 2016, and that is just the complete failings of his political instincts to rise to a moment.
Well, I think you're seeing fear, Joe, apart from everything else. And I just want to say, kind of playing off that last bit of the sound there where he said, you know, he's letting the Democratic convention go through. I wanted to announce right here on the show that I'm going to allow Morning Joe to continue for the rest of the morning in the same spirit as Donald Trump. You know, I have about as much control over that as Donald Trump does over the Democratic convention. So I think, you know, people predicted that this would happen. The thing related to Trump becoming now the old man of the race, and that the focus there was a lot of discussion about this when Joe Biden was still in the race. People would say, you know, correctly, Donald Trump is also an old man. Donald Trump is also slipping, losing miles an hour off his fastball, has difficulty processing as a cognitive matter. And they would,
Does he have a problem speaking like you do? Because you're making my fucking brain hurt.
Say there's a double standard here, and you would say, yeah, there's a double standard here. And I'll tell you what the double standard was always. The press is terrible at focusing on two things at the same time. And for a long time, the fact that Joe Biden's affect, that he seemed less energetic than Trump, gave Trump, not saying it's a good thing or justifying it, it was just what happened, was that people focused on Biden.
Right.
And Trump's failings in this area got ignored, even though we, on many occasions on this show, we would point to various Trump mental failures.
Right.
Now, though, without Joe Biden in the race, the press is focused on that question. And it's much more glaring to people that.
I'm sorry, but the press is not focused on Donald Trump's mental acuity. The press is focused on, and that's including MSNBC and also CNN, that they want to know why Kamala Harris is avoiding the media. That's what the press is focused on. This is the whole premise of your segment right here, is to take the focus off of why Kamala is not talking to the media. So attack Donald Trump for being the older person now in the race. Good job.
How many failures, cognitive failures Donald Trump has, especially when he stands in an unscripted way in front of the press. And it's part of it's cognitive, part of it's psychological, part of it's emotional. The tics, going back to the same grievances over and over again, the inability to process really basic facts, the massive errors that he makes all the time, the incoherence, all those things are standing in much starker relief now, which gets to your point that I think is the key point and the point that Peggy's making. It is just the case that the split screen now is a split screen that is much more punishing to Donald Trump than the split screen when it was Joe Biden on the other side of that screen. And again, you can talk about how you like the world, how you want the world.
Does it mean, or does it sound like they're absolutely scared shitless that Trump is going to do the same thing to Kamala as he did to Biden on an unscripted stage? That what they need to do is now tear him down to a Joe Biden, I shit my pants level, in order to prop up Carmela. Because that's what it sounds like.
World to be. I'll tell you about how the world is.
It's just
that's
how
the reality.
It's so funny you said that last weekend. Caddy, last weekend, my kids and I were watching the Olympics, and there was a local news break, and they showed it was one of these, poll came out and it showed the split screen and the two candidates on both sides. And it was the first time that I had seen Kamala Harris, 59-year-old Kamala Harris, I think she's 59, next to 78-year-old Donald Trump. And it was quite jarring. Politics is all about context.
So, because Donald Trump looks older, like by maybe, 18 years older than Kamala Harris, it was jarring. Not when Joe Biden was shitting himself walking across the stage. That wasn't jarring. But that side-by-side comparison was jarring. I guess that's what you get for being married to somebody like Mika Brzezinski. When you're married to a small, rodent-looking, ferret-type person, your brain becomes stupid. I guess. I don't know.
Contrast. That's what I learned in the first campaign school I went to 30 years ago. They said the campaign is about contrast. The visual contrast is striking. You look at the press conference yesterday and the exaggerations and the outright lies that were told in Donald Trump's press conferences, also talking about us being on the verge of a depression when the United States is more powerful economically relative to the rest of the world than it's been in 20, 30, 40 years.
I'm sorry, but we just lost $2 trillion in the stock market. Basically crashed Japan's stock market. China came about 6 seconds away from devaluing their currency. It also dragged down crypto. So, what are you talking about? Our economy is the greatest in 20, 30 years. You friggin' idiot.
And I could go down that list again, but there's no need. People know that that's the truth.
Thank you for the can, nuclear family. Appreciate it.
You have Kamala Harris saying, we love our country. We believe in our country on one side. And then you have Donald Trump on the other side saying our country's lousy. That is, and again, going back to Peggy Noonan and her life's work, regardless of ideology, Americans want optimism. They want hope. They want someone looking to the future. And boy, that is another stark contrast that you see in yesterday and in the previous few weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot more kind of Sonny Reagan about the Democratic ticket at the moment than there is about the Republican ticket. And you see that in all the rallies. I mean, you see it in the fact that Donald Trump is not really holding rallies. He's holed up in Mar-a-Lago. He's doing one rally today in Montana, a state where he's 15 points ahead. So that's kind of head-scratching.
Thanks for being here.
But it was a case of grievance, and that's what we're seeing from the campaign. And case in point about Donald Trump's mental acuity.
And first of all, Ohio Kimmy, thank you for the cookie. Bill Donahue, appreciate you. Anybody that has a British fucking accent, don't tell me how to run my country. Okay? We whooped your ass 250 years ago. Shut the fuck up. Get out. Just saying. Don't tell me how to do that.
During yesterday's news conference, he told a sort of weird story about nearly dying during a helicopter ride. But as the New York Times points out, there was only one problem with the story, or maybe two, or maybe three problems. Here's the ex-president yesterday at Mar-a-Lago when asked about former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, who briefly dated Vice President Kamala Harris nearly 3 decades ago. Take a listen.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Okay, so it's an odd story, but what's the real issue with that story? Well, it appears it never actually happened. First, Trump was never on a helicopter with Willie Brown. He's apparently confusing him with former California Governor Jerry Brown.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
The two don't really look terribly similar. Secondly, there was never any emergency landing, as Trump claimed, and the helicopter's passengers were never in any danger. Mayor Brown, who, as the Times notes, loves regaling anybody who will listen with stories, said, quote, "You know me well enough to know that if I almost went down in a helicopter with anybody, you would have heard about it." And according to Gavin Newsom, who was also on that ride, there was never any discussion at all about one Kamala Harris. For his part, Willie Brown isn't saying terrible things about Harris at all. In fact, he remains an avid supporter of hers. You understand why they use the word weird. The group took a helicopter to survey wildfire damage in 2018, an event where Trump would confuse the name of the town that was destroyed and also claim the solution to California's wildfire crisis was to, quote, rake the forest floor. So do you remember that, raking the forest?
Okay, so I don't remember that whole incident about a helicopter and Trump and all that shit. All I know is I did do a show on YouTube about the raking of the forest, the California forest land. And I also did in the same show how Jerry Brown cut the budgets of the Forestry Service to where they couldn't use the giant machines that rake up all the debris on the forest floors. And I got banned from YouTube from that. I had my channel suspended because Jerry Brown cut the budgets, and we had some of the worst wildfires 2017, 2018 because of that. So that did happen, and the raking of the forest is something that California, they rent machines that clean up the forest floor of debris and dead trees and leaves and sticks and this, that, and the other thing, so they don't burn. So Trump was right about that. I don't know about no fucking helicopter, but everything else he said was accurate.
Floors, Joe. That was one of those particular. Anyway, the story didn't make sense. It didn't really happen. The people were different from the people he said it was. Otherwise,
I believe
guess
that
all
too,
good.
Daniel.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you know,
If you look at the track of the high-speed rail, and you look at the forest fire in Paradise, California, they're exactly the same thing. They go exactly the same way. And to this day, none of those houses have been rebuilt. None of those, that whole community that burned to the ground is still burnt to the ground.
Rev, it reminds me when we got into that sort of dust up on the International Space Station. Stayed up there longer than we expected, and it was Tension City. You know, yesterday the Wall Street Journal editorial page wrote an op-ed talking about how Donald Trump now seems primed to lose yet another race that he should win. And you look at this press conference, you look at the fact that his people just don't want him to go out and give speeches. I'm sure they didn't want him to go out and give the press conference yesterday, but Donald Trump probably still driven by that belief, I alone can do it. But again, it just, there's nothing comforting.
I'm sorry, why would his people not want him to go out and do rallies or speeches? What? I don't get that. If that was the case, we would have heard something about that. So, is it just these people's intention to just make shit up as they go along? I don't know. Let's keep listening.
About that. And again, I go back to Peggy Noonan asking the question, or saying for the first time this week, I thought people were wondering about the impact of Mr. Trump's age. He is 78. He hasn't been able to focus to make his case. Is he, in another irony of 2024, turning into Joe Biden? Well, he's certainly, nothing that's happened the past week would suggest otherwise, would it?
Nothing would suggest otherwise, but I would say to anyone that Joe Biden never just started remembering emergency landings of helicopters with people that didn't exist. I mean, even the story within itself. Can you imagine in the middle of an emergency landing, you start talking about somebody you dated years ago in bad terms? I mean, the whole story doesn't make sense, aside from the fact that he had...
So, Reverend Al Sharpton wants to compare Joe Biden's stories to Donald Trump's stories. Joe Biden, whose uncle got eaten by cannibals, his son, who died in the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, was a Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, Iron Cross recipient. That they want to compare. Reverend Sharpton.
The people mixed up. And then he said that his rally, January 6th, drew
What's
as
up,
many
Angry Mary?
people as Martin Luther King's March on Washington. I assume he's talking about 1963 because that's the only March on Washington Martin Luther King had. He said, they said Martin Luther King had 1 million and I had 25,000. That's what they said. Well, first of all, the Million Man March wasn't until 95, 27 years after King was dead. King didn't call that march. And the fact that he would compare the Million Man March or the King March of 250,000 to who he had January 6th, and not remember January 6th was an attempt to overthrow an election, shows that I think we might have chose the wrong old man to walk off the stage.
But you also got to remember, according to some people, there was almost 7 million people on January 6th in front of the Capitol. 6.7 million to be exact. So, you know, I think it would be highly ridiculous for somebody like Reverend Al Sharpton to compare stories between Joe Biden and Donald Trump based on their cognitive ability. I think that would be a huge mistake. So they could do whatever they want. To me, it sounds like they have to do this in order to run cover for Kamala, so she doesn't have to do any interviews, because they're afraid she's going to tank it like Joe Biden. And that's definitely why she won't go anywhere near Fox News. There's no way that she'll go anywhere near Fox News. Or possibly CNN. I think MSNBC is her only safe haven, since they're in the tank for her anyway. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. Okay. So, if I missed anybody who rated from all those channels, welcome to you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Yep, thank you. Anybody else on the DLive, YouTube, or X that I didn't see? Who was over there? True Things Prevail. It's the only one who's chatting over there. Eric Chenault, who supposed to be lurking, but don't know where you're at. Anyway, so this last clip that we're going to show, we're going to show. I'm going to show. There ain't nobody else here. It's just me. I don't have a staff. Has to do with Ukraine. We talked a little bit last night on the Thursday Night Throwdown about Ukraine, because I think Ukraine and what's going on in Israel is directly affecting American domestic politics right now. And I think it's important that we know what Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky is doing with the approval of our government. So we're going to watch, I think this is CNN International.
Assaults across its border is showing no let-up. It launched a, quote, massive drone attack on Russia's western Lyabetsk region early on Friday. According to that region's governor, he says multiple people were wounded in that attack, which damaged energy infrastructure. This region even deeper into Russia than Kursk, where Russian officials say the fighting appears to be ongoing. Also early today, Friday, a Russian strike on a supermarket in Ukraine's Donetsk region killed at least 11 people, according to authorities who say a rescue operation there is underway. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh joins me now. You and I spoke midweek. It's Friday now. Is it any clearer? And let's start with the Ukrainian incursion into Russian territory. Is it any clearer what the goal is at this point?
No, but certainly one goal that they presumably wanted to have that they're achieving is a very positive headline for Ukraine's military and, frankly, chaos amongst Russian ranks here, because they have now, day 4, failed to stop this incursion. It appears to be significantly deeper than it was, or it's very hard to tally precisely where we're seeing Ukrainian troops here. But they're certainly not back across the border. They appear to still be in Sojar. They may have gone further around that. There's a Russian column of troops and ammunition that appears to have been destroyed even further to the north of Shuzda. So a lot of motion around here. The Lipetsk drone strike you talked about, important to separate that from the incursion, because we've been seeing Ukrainian drone activity deep inside Russia, hitting military infrastructure, energy infrastructure over the last year or so. And so this...
Where is Ukraine getting these drones from? Are we supplying drones to Ukraine to hit deep inside Russia? I don't remember that in the package. Vanita, thank you for the can. And that's for Ena's cookie. Thank you, thank you.
This is obviously at the same time as the incursion, but a tactic they've been using consistently over the past months with some significant drone technology at their disposal. But this larger incursion, still ongoing, still causing the Russians to panic and send reinforcements there, and showing, frankly, that it's possible for Kiev to take Moscow completely by surprise and catch them off guard.
Meantime, we've just seen a deadly attack in Ukraine. A supermarket hit with at least 11 killed. To your mind, will this be a response to Ukraine's incursion into Russia? What does today's attack mean for the sort of wider story here?
I mean, the death toll has been rising very fast during the morning, and, you know, I've been in many of these sort of supermarkets. They're crammed with civilians, soldiers, rare sources of food in war-torn areas, Konstantinivka close to the front line as well. And so we have seen brutal attacks on dual, I could say. I don't know exactly who was in the supermarket, but you're often there with soldiers around buying their food at the same time. A civilian target like...
So it's a military target. It's not a civilian target. It's a supermarket where soldiers are buying their food. So it's technically a military target. If there happens to be civilians walking around, maybe they should go buy their food someplace else.
This, though, often hit by Russia at times of frustration elsewhere on the battlefield, no way of divining the motivation. They've also just hit civilian infrastructure whenever they can anyway. So it's hard to see always a pattern in things like this, but it's certainly a reminder of the brutality of what Russia's been doing inside Ukraine when they say, as Vladimir Putin did on Wednesday, that Ukrainian forces have been indiscriminately shelling residential areas inside of Russia. Look what Russia's been doing for years there. We're in a very interesting phase here with this new move by Ukraine, because they're clearly trying to show the ability to project strength. As you mentioned, it's not entirely clear why. There's not some obvious strategic goal that we can see publicly. There may be some genius here for infrastructure, railways that we don't know about, that we haven't divined, because Ukraine are not telegraphing this. They telegraphed their summer counter-offensive for months, and that did not go very well. So this is clearly a bid to move faster and quicker. But ultimately, I think it is Kiev trying to say, after months of bad headlines, look at what we can do. It may be with a mind of showing Western allies that they've still got some fight in them. They may be trying to get an upper hand.
They want to show the West that they still have some fight left in them. So, the next presidential election, they can say, look what we did. Can you please give us another 100 billion? That's exactly what this incursion is about. It's about American presidential domestic politics to make sure that they can get paid.
And because the possibility of a Trump presidency and the likelihood of a possibly clumsy, swift and not particularly long-lasting ceasefire being imposed. And so it's a very fluid time, but I think it's one where we've seen again that if Ukraine gets a tactical surprise, it can still show how weak Russian forces indeed are, despite how Moscow seems to have won in the kind of frontline wars of attrition that we've been seeing over the past months.
Ukraine's former Deputy Minister of Defense, Elena Frolova, joins me now from Kyiv. It's good to have you. A Ukrainian source tells CNN that the latest strike inside Russia in a place called Lipetsk destroyed an ammunition depot. In this video, we're seeing a destroyed military convoy in the Kursk region. What's your understanding of the damage these attacks are achieving from Ukraine's point of view? And what's the goal here?
Well, this is a little bit two different attacks. Those which are reaching the depot, it's just like a usual and already like usual practice for Ukraine when we try to reach the storages and hit the logistics on Russian territory to decrease their capability in making war. However, the Kursk is absolutely different situation because this is the first actual enter of Ukrainian troops at Russian territory, which still is not acknowledged by Ukrainian government, but we obviously see that this is some specific operation with some specific goals, which we can just guess what those goals are.
Well, let's guess. I mean, you know, yours is a good guess because you were the Deputy Defense Minister.
Yes.
So they're just going to guess why Ukraine is doing this. Let's just guess. We don't know why. Let's just guess.
Let's guess. And my gesture is that there are like a few goals. The first one is like to try to squeeze the Russian troops to this location and to make them to relocate from other locations from the front line where Ukraine is suffering from the like an overcrowded troops presence. This is first. The second one, obviously, we demonstrate that Russia is quite weak from the military point of view, and the constant fear of escalation and expected like a rough reaction of Russia is not something which are in reality.
You said earlier this year, and I quote you here, you are absolutely sure that we, Ukraine, will have enough partners to fight this war and to win this war. Do you still feel that confidence? And how does this incursion bring Ukraine any closer to winning, do you think?
Well, I think that we even closer to this, and my feeling is I feel even stronger in my beliefs, because from now on we have the long-term contribution and obligations from the European states, which became to be more sustainable and long-term planning. So this is already obligation for this year and for next year. We have like multiple support from those countries who were not active before. We hope still that we will keep the support from United States, and we have some long-term obligations also. So it doesn't seem, and you see now the reaction on the Kursk operation. Before 1 year ago, we could probably have some kind of hysterical reaction from our partners. However, now everyone is like taking it, not even like as a good action, but they are supporting it.
Okay, that's enough of that. I can't take that lady's voice. There was only 1 minute left anyway. So now everybody's supporting, right? Ukraine attacking Russia. So, just out of curiosity, when Russia unleashes 5,000 tanks and just kind of rolls right through Ukraine into Kyiv, that's going to be okay because, you know, it's acceptable now. Yeah. I don't know about this. To me, this is all about American domestic politics. I can't see it any other way. The same thing with Israel doing a preemptive strike on Hamas or Iran. A preemptive strike. It's all about support from the West, from the US. Because if Trump gets into power, this shit's gonna stop. And they don't want it to stop. It's gonna get escalated in the next 90 days. before the inauguration. And there was somebody a couple of days ago on my chat that said something, made a whole lot of sense, that they want to create as many problems as they can because they know that Trump's going to win the election and they want to mess him up as best as possible. I believe that. And what better way to do that than to start wars on 10 or 12 different fronts in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. So that's it. That is all I have for today. But I do want to play this one more time. I kept this clip up because I want to play it one more time. And I want to make sure that if you guys, the Democrats who watch this show, didn't see it in the beginning, you'll see it at the end.
Reminder to everybody saying they're going to vote for Kamala Harris because she said when she becomes president, she's going to do X. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that she's currently the VP. She's currently in power. But when she says when she's president that she's going to reduce the cost of things, when she's president, she's going to make things more affordable, that when she's president, she's going to completely revamp our immigration system, that when she's president, she's going to secure our relations worldwide, or that when she's president, she's going to make sure that women have access to abortion in every state in the union. Yeah, she's VP right now. She is currently the Vice President of the United States. Her boss will do anything she tells him to do. So maybe ask her why she's not making things more affordable now. Why she's not able to reduce the cost of things now. Why she's not able to control inflation now. Why she's not able to make housing affordable now. Why she's not able to make gas affordable now. Why she's not able to secure our border and fix immigration now. Why she's not able to improve our international relations now. Or why she can't give everyone access to abortion now. Why does she need to be elected president to do it? Why didn't she do it in any of the last 3.5 years? Or any of the time she was a senator? Why does she need yet another election to get any of those things done? I mean, don't get me wrong, y'all won't ask any of those questions, but they are good ones to ask.
Damn right. Judy, thank you for the can. So for all you Democrats who wanted Joe Biden, you were on the Joe Biden diaper. He's our man. He's our man. And then you got stripped of your man and you got some woman who nobody voted for. And she's our woman. She's our woman. Start asking these questions. What this guy is asking. Start asking those questions. Because you're the sheep. You're the ones that are in the cult. You're the ones who are drinking the Kool-Aid by the gallon. So, with that being said, thank you guys for being here today. Everybody on YouTube, DLive, X, appreciate you being here. Everybody over on Pilled, thank you for all the red pills, the blue pills, and the gold pills. I appreciate all the raids. Thank you guys. I'm going to be sending you over to raid somebody's channel right now. So I should be back tonight at 6 o'clock to do something. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to be here and do something. So until then, I appreciate all of you. I will talk to you all later. Have a good rest of your Friday. Bye-bye.